Good morning. Today we're going to start with a stanza from a poem by Shamal Bott, who was a Gujarati poet from medieval times. So he was born around 1700. They don't know exactly the date, but that sort of, it was many hundreds of years ago. That sort of places him in time. I say he was a Gujarati poet, and I might not be pronouncing that right, but Gujarati is a region in India, but those who speak the language range across other regions outside of India as well. So it includes not just that region in India, but anyone who spoke that language. Shamal Bott's poetry is called narrative poetry, in that his poems tell a story. And he based his poems on folk tales and on Sanskrit works of those who came before him. And his poems contain many magical and imaginative things like speaking animals and flying shoes and the transportation of souls. And many of his poems also contained riddles. So we're going to start with a stanza from one of his poems that very much spoke to Gandhi when he was young. So here are Shamal Bott's words. For a bowl of water, give a goodly meal. For a kindly greeting, bow thou down with zeal. For a simple penny, pay thou back with gold. If thy life be rescued, life do not withhold. Thus the words and actions of the wise regard, every little service tenfold they reward. But the truly noble know all men as one, and return with gladness good for evil done. I'll repeat that last line. And return with gladness good for evil done. And that's, of course, a translation of his original poem. So what does that mean? Well, let's look at it a little bit closer. For a bowl of water. So if someone gives you a bowl of water, return it with something even better. Give them a good meal. If they just give you a kindly bow or a kindly greeting, then you just give them even more of a greeting. Bow down with great enthusiasm. Someone gives you a penny, give them a bunch of gold. So basically, it's all summed up in his last line. He says, return with gladness good for evil done. So someone does evil to you, don't do them evil back. Instead, return gladness and goodness to them. Now, does this sound at all familiar to you? You probably haven't heard these particular lines by Shamal Bott before, but the concept of it, I bet, sounds a little bit familiar, because this poem has a very close resemblance with the teachings of Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount. So let me read you some of Jesus's words and see if it doesn't sound a little bit similar. All right, so you have heard, and this is from Matthew, you have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you that you must not oppose those who want to hurt you. If people slap you on your right cheek, you must turn the left cheek to them as well. When they wish to haul you to court and take your shirt, let them have your coat too. When they force you to go 1 mile, go with them 2. Give to those who ask, and don't refuse those who wish to borrow from you. And also, you have heard that it was said, you must love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who harass you, so that you will be acting as children of God who is in heaven. God makes the sun rise on both the evil and the good, and sends rain on both the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love only those who love you, what reward do you have? Don't even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers and sisters, what more are you doing? Don't even the Gentiles do the same? Therefore, just as God is complete in showing love to everyone, so also you must be complete. So what Jesus is saying here is the same thing. He's saying, you know what, if someone slaps you, don't slap them back. Let them slap your other cheek. If someone takes your shirt, instead of getting angry and taking something of theirs, give them more. Give back If someone gives you evil, good, give back with goodness. Love your enemies. So people who aren't nice to you, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be nice to them. Instead, love them, show them kindness. So Shamal Bot's words, return with gladness, good for evil done. So he's saying the same thing here. Jesus is saying the same thing as Shamal Bot said in his lines. Now, this poem by Shamal Bot made a huge impression on Gandhi when he was just a child, as I said before. He says in his autobiography, a Gujarati stanza gripped my mind and heart. Its precept, or its idea, return good for evil, became my guiding principle. It became such a passion with me that I began numerous experiments in it. Now, when it comes to Christianity, at first, when Gandhi was younger, he didn't have much interest in it, for among other reasons, because he was told that all Christians have to eat meat. And he was a vowed vegetarian, partly because of the religion in which he was raised, but more because of a vow he had made to his mother not to eat meat. And he was afraid Christianity might make him have to eat meat. But when Gandhi read the teachings of Jesus in the Sermon of the Mount, those words I just read to you, he was very much impressed by them. They really spoke to him. And in fact, he would often quote from Matthew the line, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who treat you badly. To the one who strikes you on the cheek, turn the other cheek. To the one who takes your coat, give also your shirt. And what Jesus is expressing here in these lines is an end to retaliation. So retaliation is like getting back at someone, right? Someone does something mean to you, you're going to get back at them and retaliate and do something mean back to them. And Jesus is saying, don't do that. Instead, he's saying we must forgive others when they do us wrong, and our own goodness must exceed that of those who wrong us. That our own goodness as a people must exceed the evil that is in the world. And in that way, by creating more goodness in the world than there is evil, we can win over evil with goodness. And Gandhi loved Jesus's teaching of love your enemy, because as you know, Gandhi supported and promoted non-retaliation and non-violence. And he found in Jesus's words the principle of ahimsa. Now, ahimsa is an ancient Indian principle of non-violence, which applies to all living beings. And it's a key virtue in Hinduism and Buddhism and Jainism. And Gandhi believed that ahimsa to be a creative energy force that encompassed all interactions that would help one to find their own divine truth or their own inner truth. Gandhi stated his belief that ahimsa is in Hinduism, it's in Christianity, as well as in Islam. He said that nonviolence is common to all religions. And he found this principle of ahimsa in Jesus's words in the Sermon on the Mount. And as you probably know, Gandhi's belief in ahimsa and nonviolence had huge influences on many other people and many social justice leaders that came after him, such as Martin Luther King, who was a big believer in nonviolence as well. Now, it's not always easy as individuals for us to act in this way, right? Because what happens when someone gets angry at you or someone does something mean to you, it makes you angry, right? And so to try to be kind to them, it sort of goes against your very nature, what your instincts, your feelings, what you want to do. So it's not always easy to do, but when you can really do it, it actually will it can make you feel a lot better. And I think about, this is silly little examples, and since I can't actually hear your guys' thoughts, I'm always telling these silly little parables of my own life, since I can't actually talk to you in person. But I used to, when I used to worked at a veterinary office, and sometimes I had to deal with the customers that came in. I worked at the Seal Cove Auto Museum, and the tourists would come to the front desk, and I had to deal with them. And sometimes people are just mean, right? And sometimes they're nasty. Maybe they just had a long drive to get up to Acadia, and they're just in a bad mood, whatever. So they're taking it out on me. And what do I feel when I did that? When someone acts that way towards me, they're just being mean for no reason. my own instincts are just like, you want to be mean. You want to be, makes me upset, makes me want to be mean. But of course, they're the customers, so I'd have to be nice. And so there was actually a Eric Novello who worked there. He was wonderful with people like that because he was great at this. He would be so nice to them. But the thing is, he really felt it too. And he had them by the end, they'd be all like happy as ever and giving them museum donations. And because he would show them kindness, even though they were showing him meanness, he would show them such kindness and genuine kindness that they would turn around and be happy. And then that made him feel good too. So then both the customers and he felt good. So I wasn't quite as good at it as he was. But I tried, and certainly on the surface, I was making the appearance of being nice and friendly and showing them goodness. And which is good, which is a step, but it's even better to really feel it, because I can think of other situations in my life when someone has wronged me. And when I've really been able to, it's not easy to do, but the starting is at least act that way on the surface, and then you can sort of actually maybe feel it inside too. If someone wrongs you, and you're really able to show them goodness back, sometimes even just a little bit, it will make you feel a little bit better. Then you can show them even more goodness. And instead of retaliating and being mean back to them, someone throws something at you, so you throw something back at them. Instead of doing that, someone throws something at you, do something nice for them. And first of all, it's going to so throw them that it will knock them out of it might knock them out of their anger. Maybe they won't be angry anymore. But even if they are, you'll know that you are creating goodness in the world, and it will make you feel better. And once again, it's creating more goodness, and it is so you can win over evil with that goodness in the world, right? So I will end by reading that stanza by Shamal Bott one more time. And think about, as I read it, thinking about Jesus's words on the Sermon on the Mount too, of if someone slaps you on the right cheek, turn the left, and love your enemies. So here are Shamal Bott's words. For a bowl of water, give a goodly meal. For a kindly greeting, bow thou down with zeal. For a simple penny, pay thou back with gold. If life be rescued, life do not withhold. Thus the words and actions of the wise regard, every little service tenfold they reward. But the truly noble know all men as one, and return with gladness, good for evil done. So that is it for this week. Have a good week coming up, and stay safe and be kind, and I will see you next time.